There's a lot of mistakes that the average person is making them, is keeping them broke, stopping them from getting money, stopping them from balling. And the problem is some people make these mistakes their whole life and never really reach the financial status they want to. As a result, they get all fucking angry and they start talking shit about people who are out here balling. Me, they become a hater. I don't want you to grow up to become a hater. So I'm gonna teach you the 8 mistakes that are keeping you from balling so you can avoid them right now. Let's get into it. Number 1, your standards aren't high enough. So your whole life is a reflection of your standards. Think about how much you weigh. If somebody put a gun to your head and said, hey, I'm gonna be back in 2 months and I'm gonna shoot you in the face if you don't lose 15 pounds of fat, that same 15 pounds you've been trying to lose all year. Like if you knew you was gonna die, you'd figure it out, right? Your life is a reflection of your standards. You don't get what you want, you get what you have to have. And it's not a must for you. It's kind of just an idea for most people. They would like to make a lot of money. They would like to get rich, but it's not a must. You gotta find a way to make it a must, make it mandatory. Because if you do that, you will have it. I want you to think about all the goals you've ever tried to accomplish that you failed at. Everything you ever tried to accomplish that you did not end up accomplishing. Did you have to have it? Was it a must? Or was it just like another one of your bullshit ideas? Listen, we know the answer. Because if you had to have it, you would have it. Within reason, obviously. Some fucking dipshit is thinking of typing, oh, I wanted to fly. That was fucking hate you people. You're the fucking worst. You're the worst among us. Motherfuckers who type shit like that. You know what I mean, dipshit. You have to really raise your standards. So it can't be, hey, I want to make $10,000 a month. No. It's not what you don't get what you want. You get what you have to have. You got to say, I refuse to make less than $10,000 a month. It is a standard, and I will stop at nothing within reason to get it, right? When I say within reason, you got to stay within the realms of morality. You got to stay within the realms of what's legal and what's healthy. Someone put a gun to your family member's head and said, listen, they kidnapped a family member, gun to their head and said, you got to make $10,000 in the next 3 months. You got to be making $10,000 a month 3 months from now, or this little motherfucker's gonna get it. And they said, listen, you got to make sure you get 8 hours. You also got to get 8 hours of sleep every night. You got to spend time with your girlfriend every week. And you got to make sure you work out. You can't do nothing illegal. If you put all those parameters in it, you'd still do it because you're tough enough. I believe you're tough enough. You're smart enough. You're resourceful enough. The only reason you're not doing it because your standards are too low. That's it. I was lucky to a certain extent that my father killed himself and it made me the man of the family. And now I have to take care of all my family members and shit. I was thrust into a position where it had to be a must for me. Balling had to be a must. Making a ton of money was a must to take care of my family. I was placed in that position against my will. You have to find a way to put yourself in that position. And I believe you can do it, man. Like once you do that, you really see what you're made of. You're capable of a lot more than you think. Number 2, you're around too many fucking broke people all the time. I'm telling you, man, poverty is contagious. That's the real pandemic. You got to think about it, man. We become like the people who are around, whether we want to or not, whether we think about it or not, without even trying. This is why people from certain regions, they all have similar dialect. They all have similar accents and they dress pretty much the same. They weren't born like that. They learned that involuntarily. Right? They didn't even try to learn it. They just picked up on it. I sound like a slave because when black people escape, when they follow Harriet Tubman down the Underground Railroad, my ancestors, where'd they go? Chicago, the South Side. That's where I'm from. That's why some of us have a Southern twang in our voice, even though we from up north. But I didn't try to sound like this. This wasn't a goal. I'd sound like the nigga from Bringington if I got to pick my motherfucking voice. But instead, I sound like I'm about to sing a Negro spiritual.
Something entirely apart. And it is with my sincerest apologies.
I digress. You're gonna pick up things involuntarily to people from around you. And I actually want to show you this study is insane. They analyzed the effects of members and friends, and what they noticed was that, here's the thing, if you have a friend who becomes obese, you're 45% more likely to become obese as well, just by having a friend. This is a large meta study of, tens of thousands of people, right? But here's what's more shocking, man. This is the crazy part. if, let's say me and you are friends, if you have a friend who's obese, even if I never meet this motherfucker, according to the data, I'm 20% more likely to become obese. I don't even know this motherfucker, but because of his impact on you, it has an impact on me, right? Fucking shit is contagious. The way people are is contagious, right? And so if you're around all these people who are thinking like broke boys, and then they're around here doing broke boy shit all the time, right? And they're thinking about lack and poverty, and they're not serious about success, and they want to party and all this other shit, you're going to inherit a lot of these qualities. So what you really need to do is to get into environments where people are balling, whatever you have to do. Because when I first moved to New York, I was kind of aware of this, right? So I moved into a neighborhood called Forest Hills in Queens, and I got the best apartment I can afford there. Y'all saw the videos. I was living in Forest Hills. Forest Hills is like a super rich neighborhood. So across the train tracks, there are huge mansions, it's $5-10 million homes. Donald Trump grew up over there. I would ride my bicycle through there, right? And some of those people went to the gym by me, and I became cool with them, right? I wanted that proximity because I know that that's contagious. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying that's the reason I'm a multimillionaire now, but it definitely helps, right? Because when you actually see it, it feels more real. When you're around it, it feels more real, right? I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and it just feels hopeless in the hood. It feels like, if I know when I go back to the south side, and those kids there don't think they're gonna grow up to be hedge fund managers or fucking successful businessmen. They honestly don't know if they're gonna be alive to 25, 30. And that's a real concern, right? I mean, it's real because I have a lot of friends who didn't make it to that age. I got sent away to military school because I got in some trouble. Nothing crazy, fights, skipping school, shootouts, normal kid stuff. And I got sent away to military school as a result. And I had a roommate there. His name was Corey Phillips. And Corey was from Wisconsin. The military school was in Wisconsin. I got sent away, right? He was rich, but I didn't know that when we were roommates. I just thought I figured most of those kids were rich. I was there on some sort of affirmative action kind of thing or whatever, at some discount. I went to his house one weekend. We pulled up, man, it's a fucking big ass mansion. It's like the intro to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? That's how I looked walking out to his crib. And he had horses and shit in the back. I was like, oh shit, you motherfuckers got horses? I was like, man, what's your dad do? He said he's a doctor. I said, what kind of doctor? He's a foot doctor. Footiology? So he's a footiologist. I was like, oh shit, you know what? I'm gonna go to college. Like, I don't know, like it changed my, just being there and seeing the wealth and touching it, being there, is like, it made me feel like it was possible. So I always look for reasons to be around people in situations where it made me feel like things were possible. You see, I just got the $10 million. You just got this award for doing $10 million a year in my business. Boom. ClickFunnels gave me that. Russell Brunson, shout out to them. But the first person I knew who did that was my boy Owen Cook, who's one of my mentors. And I'm talking to him and his business partner. We just in LA doing something. At that point I wasn't even making 1 million. I asked him, how much money y'all make? He said, yeah, last year we did about $10 million. Prior to that, it didn't seem real. But I was like, man, these are guys are doing it. They're my friends. I think I can do it. Then what happens is I start to set my goals higher because of the proximity. It's very important. You got to find any way you can. Move to a different neighborhood. That's what I did. Move to a different neighborhood, get around people, get some mentors, whatever you can do to be around some ballers, you need to do it, even if it's just work for them. Number 3, you don't work hard enough, man. Every time I say this, some fucking dipshit says, you got to work harder, not smarter. But here's the thing, dumbass. Working smarter means you're using some sort of leverage to get more out of your work. That's the definition of working smarter. There's only a few types of leverage as it pertains to getting money. You can have money and then you can get more money. That's one form of leverage. You can have some sort of like media presence or ability to, or access to media. Like if you know the editor of a magazine, they can fucking post some shit about you all the time. Okay, that'll give you leverage. Or if you have a huge social media, you can get leverage like that, right? For example, Kim Kardashian do an Instagram post today if she wanted to for some company, a sponsored post, and make like $1 million, right? That's leverage because she has the media. There's people, right? If you got employees or people who will work for you. You know what I'm saying? That's leverage. This company was built on that form of leverage. You know what I'm saying? Not this company. This country was built on that form of leverage. You know, and then there's like crazy talent. Like if you got a huge amount of skill, if like people are trying to draft you to the NBA because you're so good at basketball, or if you're like a genius coder or something. But if you broke, you probably don't have none of those forms of leverage. You probably don't have no money. You probably don't have no access to media. You probably don't have no people who are going to work for you, right? That's basically just takes money too. And you probably don't have an elite level world-class skill in any regard that people will pay you for. So what do you do if you don't have leverage? You got to use time. Broke niggas can't work smarter. That's why they broke. You got to use your time to work harder until you can gather up some leverage to work smarter, right? Stack your money. So here's what you do. Add up how much you work each week. Each week, on average, how much do you work? Then how much do you sleep each week? You sleep 8 hours, it's 56 hours, right? Add up how much time you spend with your family or significant other, and then add up how much time you spend per week working out, right? Those are only 4 things a man has to do. Everything else is optional, right? You gotta work, you gotta work out, you gotta sleep, and you gotta spend time with your family. Now, again, every time I say that, there's some fucking dipshit. Who are these people who says, man, but what about shitting and showering and going to the bathroom? Like, look, listen, dipshit. You're not spending like 40 hours a week doing that shit. I'm talking about the 4 big things. Those are the 4 big things you have to do. Everything else is optional. Add that up. Add up that total amount. There's 168 hours in every week. Subtract the total from that and see how much time you have left. Spend that time getting money. I'm not telling you not to sleep. I'm not telling you not to work out. I'm not telling you not to spend time with your family. I'm just saying how spend that extra time you got left over getting money. All of it. If you're serious about it, right? If you did step 1, if this is a must for you, you got to get money. So get another job, work Uber, fucking fresh direct, whatever you got to do. I don't give a fuck. I have 4 jobs. You know my story. I woke up early, trained people in the morning, then I worked security after that for 8 hours, and then I worked for my boy's moving company after. And I did that 5 days a week, and on the weekends I woke up early, trained people, then managed a restaurant in Queens on the weekends. And I did it for like 2 years until I got enough leverage. And the first form of leverage I used was money, and I was building up my social media at the same time. So after those 2 years, I had income, some money leverage, and I had some media leverage, and I was able to allocate that towards my goal. But you got to get leverage first. And the only way to do that is to work for it. It's not just going to happen. You can't work smarter if you broke. Broke niggas can't work smarter. That's why they broke. If you were smart, you wouldn't be broke. I mean, number 4, you spend time to save money, but you should be spending money to save time. This is real simple math. All right, you fucking jagoffs always talk about work smarter. Every time I say work hard, you say, well, what about work smarter? All right, here's what working smarter looks like. When you first start a business, it's super hard because you have to do every part of it. You got to handle the marketing, boom. You got to handle the sales, boom. You got to handle the R&D, right? Whatever you're selling, boom. You got to handle the product development, boom. You got to handle the customer service, boom. You got to handle the tech shit, IT. My first website I was coding when I first started my business. You got to do, there's a bunch of other stuff you got to do, but I'm just naming it. So once you start making some money, that's your first form of leverage. Then you can start paying someone else to do this, right? Or then you can start replacing yourself. Someone else can do the customer service. Someone else can do the IT. Someone else can do the product development. Someone else can do the sales. Someone else can do the marketing. And right now you're working smart. That's how you do it. Everyone thinks about that in the form of business, but no one thinks about that with their own life. Most people don't think about it with their actual life. And people try to clown me for this. That's why they broke, man. You dumb fucks. Right? So check this out. You think about your life now. What are some stuff you gotta do? You gotta buy groceries. You gotta cook. Right? You gotta clean up. Right? Boom. You gotta do laundry. Boom. You gotta, what other like fucking domestic shit do motherfuckers do? Drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? You know, all types of stuff. All this stuff takes time, man. All this stuff takes time. But remember, you broke. So you don't have no leverage to work smart. So you got to work more to get money so you eventually have some leverage. My boy Hormozy said it. So, you know, anything you can pay someone to do for less than your hourly rate, you should do it because it's a net positive in money for you. If you're watching this video, you're probably a guy looking at the studies. You probably don't cook, clean, do laundry or anything as good as somebody who you paid to do it with. You probably don't even do it that well, right? So they're going to do it better and for less than your hourly rate. And if you work during that time, if you get money during that time, it's a net positive. And if you broke, you need as much money as you can. Even when I was broke, I'm telling you guys, not broke, but even before I had a lot of money, right? I wasn't buying groceries. I wasn't cooking. I wasn't cleaning. I certainly wasn't doing laundry. And I didn't even drive. I just took, Uber didn't exist at the time, right? So I was on the train. But even as soon as Uber came out, I was like, good, I'm done with this shit. I done made money in Ubers. People try to roast me when I say, man, I made money in Ubers. I really have. Like, my son lived in Queens. I lived in Manhattan. Every time I went down there, it was an hour there, an hour back. That's 2 hours of productivity. I got focused productivity. I made deals, fucking closed deals on that shit. I made money then. It's rich nigga shit, man. Broke niggas don't understand, right? You spend money to save time and use that time to make money, right? And as long as you made more money than you spent, as long as you make more money than you spent to buy the time, it's a net positive. And if you broke, you need as much money as you can get. Stop doing all that domestic shit. I'm telling you, all of it. Number 5, you're not buying assets. So, like, for example, a lot of guys, they get some money and they immediately start buying luxuries and raising their standards of living. But if y'all watch my videos, I wasn't raising my standards of living for like the last few years. The whole time I've been on YouTube, you watch me, I've been on like 10 years, making tons of money. And even when I was making $1 million, I was riding around the Apple Watch, all this shit. I'm stacking money, buying assets and shit, getting my shit together. And then it wasn't until like recently, the last few years, I started kind of like flexing, right? But I used my assets to buy this shit. Like this watch, this iced out AP, I bought with money I had in the stock market. I didn't sell my stocks. I sold covered calls against the stocks I own, and I used the premiums to buy this watch. I could do this shit every month if I wanted to, right? Because if you do that, you can never go broke, right? So you spend money on assets. You work for money, spend that money on assets, use that assets to buy luxuries and things of that nature. Number 6, you think that recreation is the only way to enjoy life, right? People always say, man, you got to enjoy life, or I need to relax, or I deserve this, or it's like, nah, man, recreation is not the only way to enjoy life, right? You need to change your associations. What you can do is, some of us, we get joy out of pushing ourselves, right? Seeing how much of our potential we can bring to the surface. And if you do that, right, once you start doing that and start getting that habit, it feels way better than like a party or a vacation or doing some sort of drug or something. You know what I'm saying? Like the people say enjoy life, they really mean some sort of recreation. What they really mean is escapism, right? Because they hate their life. But if you're pushing yourself every day, trying to be better, trying to get the most out of yourself, you'll start to love every day. And you'll actually start to enjoy life more than these people who are just looking for the next party or vacation, because every day you're seeing what you're made of. You're fulfilling your potential while they're just waiting for the next party. It's just escapism. You know what I'm saying? Number 7 reason you stay broke is you stop learning. You stop learning. So when I was talking about selling covered calls to my boy, right? Selling covered calls against the stocks you already own. I was telling him, bro, I'm making like $20K a month. Minimum doing this shit off stocks I already own, man. You got a big portfolio on the stock market. You really should start doing this. He said, yeah, man, but I just don't want to learn nothing. You know, I kind of want to stick with what I know. I was like, no, but you can learn this. And he was wealthy too. And it's just, that made me sad, right? Because like I'm making a lot of money doing this shit. And that was just an example. But for me, I'm trying to learn every way to make money, every one I can. So I know how to do shit I've never done, right? I know how to do shit. I know a lot about a lot of different things. I can teach a drop shipping course right now if I wanted to. I swear to God, I could. I can teach you so much shit because if people are making money a certain way, I go out of my way to learn about it, even if I don't do it, because I want to make sure that I understand it. I may need that in the future. And then, it might be another way for me it might be another stream of income for me, right? But how do I know if I don't even learn, if I don't even try, if I'm just closed-minded about everything? I'm always learning. And I'm always learning about stuff I already know. Stuff that I've like mastered. I'm still studying it all the time because I don't want to be arrogant and think that I know everything. I'm always looking for something that can make myself better because, you know, especially at high levels, it's actually more important because once you've already got a lot of money and got a lot of resources, that leverage, like a small improvement can make a big difference once you have that leverage. Keep learning. The more you learn, the more you earn. Number 8, you a bitch. Yo, for real, man, motherfuckers be scared of everything, right? They just be scared. Oh, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? What if I'm embarrassed? What if? Like, what? Yeah, what happens if you lose money? What happens if it doesn't work? Nothing. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna go to jail. You know what I'm saying? You'll be fine. Especially if you broke. Like, fuck, you got to lose. You motherfuckers have mastered poverty. You've mastered that shit. You've been broke for mad long. You're good at it. So if you lose money or it doesn't work, you're just gonna be broke where you are right now. Who gives a fuck, right? Now, if you got something to lose, you still might be scared. You know, there's 2 types of people. Both these people have goals they want to accomplish, things they want out of life. And in between them and their goal is fear. Everybody has fear. Everybody has some trepidation, right? The first person looks at that fear and cowers. Oh no. I ain't gonna try that. Y'all know Harriet Tubman had a husband? Yeah, the founder of the Underground Railroad, freed all them slaves. Yeah, she had a husband and she tried to get him to go with him. And she said, oh no, Harriet, I'm just gonna stay here, be a slave. That's too risky, Harriet. I ain't going down there. That's person A. That motherfucker died a slave. Then you got person B. Person B has the same fears and says, you know what, man? I'm gonna face my fears and do it anyway and be courageous, right? The person B doesn't have less fear. They have more courage. Harriet left her bitch ass husband in the slave house and went and, freed tens of thousands of slaves who were all scared. When you gonna free yourself, man? Because right now you stuck in a bondage. You stuck in bondage. You stuck in a prison made of your own fears. Even if you fail, guess what? At least you can look at yourself and know that you're not a bitch, right? Because you got to live with that. The consolation prize for not going after your goal is a lifetime of what? Regret and looking at yourself, knowing that you a bitch. And then you see other people out here accomplishing their goals and doing shit. And you'll say, it's easy for him. He's lucky. It's blah, blah, blah. You come up with all those excuses. You become a motherfucking hater. Y'all the worst among us. You know what I'm saying? But the real G's go for it. You don't need less bravery. You need more courage. The only way to do that is practice. The only way to develop courage is practice. And every time you want to do something, but you're too scared to do it, you're building a habit. Being a bitch is habit forming. Everything you do is habit forming. It's going to be easier to be a bitch next time. And every time you face your fear, you build that muscle up, that courage muscle. And next time you're in that situation, because you will be in again, it's going to be easier for you to face that fear until you get to a point with me where that's the default. Oh, I'm scared. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I might be scared, but I'm certainly not a fucking bitch. Certainly. And that's the attitude you need to have.